Welcome to the Raise Your Bars podcast, where it's all about elevating your life one step at a time. With your hosts, Chris Baker and Al Rattan. Together, we're here to guide you through the transformative journey of self-improvement and success. Have you ever wondered what behaviors and actions you need to change to achieve the results and success you desire in life? Well, you're in the right place. Each episode, we dive deep into the strategies, mindset shifts, and practical steps you can take to raise your bars. From personal development to professional growth, Chris and Al share their expertise, experiences, and the occasional tough love, all designed to empower you to reach your full potential. So, whether you're looking to make a big change or simply fine-tune your path to success, grab a seat and let's raise those bars together. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Chris Baker and Al Rattan.
Well, we're so excited to be back with part 2 of the Genie of your mind. Now, I'll be honest with you, Chris, I'm not really a big fan of that title. However, getting into this book, which is The Secret of the Ages by Robert Collier, chapter 2 is the Genie of Mind. We did part 1 last week. If you haven't heard that podcast episode, then I'd recommend you just pause this one and go back and listen to that one. Yeah, and then we're just sort of sharing our thoughts from this book. But before we jump in, how's your week been?
It's been good. I would say that actually I've been challenging the genie of my mind this week, if I'm honest about it. You know, there's and I was just watching again some of those shorts that you did, which we're starting to put out, and there was one, control the controllable, and that's really been the forefront of this week. Yeah, because there's things going on that are out of my control that if you don't focus on what you want and what you can do, you allow that uncontrollable to stress you out. And it's a really tough thing to overcome, because the if we're honest about it, the majority of people don't or can't or won't do that. Right. And so the majority of people will focus on the negatives and what can go wrong, and therefore it does go wrong. And what that does is it drags you down. You know, man. And you have to like pull yourself up, and you have to be strong, and it is tiring, right, doing that.
Well, I'll tell you, yesterday I was having a conversation with a very good friend of mine. I do have one or two more besides you. No. I know it's hard to believe, but anyway. A good friend of mine, and I was a little bit down in the dumps, and I'm grateful that she was able to encourage me. Because sometimes folks, and we're in business, and I'm assuming most of the people listening to this podcast are business people or entrepreneurs. And guess what? Yeah, you have bad days, and actually, if we don't have control over our subconscious mind, I guess we'll call it in this sense. The genie of our mind, if you want to use that word, it can really affect you negatively. And I was sort of in that space yesterday where I was struggling to maintain the usual positive and chipper self that is Al. I'm usually a pretty happy-go-lucky guy, and I'm pretty focused, and I have goals, and I'm determined to achieve them, and a lot of those goals tie in with us working together, Chris. And but you hit bumps in the road sometimes, and if you don't have control of your mindset, it can really derail you.
Yeah, and I think as well, Al, it's the fact that we are growth oriented, right? We are growth minded. Is that when you're doing that, it's that law of the rubber band, right? We're stretching ourselves because we want to grow, because we want to get better, because we want to deliver more, we want to help more people. That when we stretch that, occasionally it will contract, right? And we will come under that force that brings us down, because we are growing. And if we weren't stretching, it's ironic in a way to say that if we weren't stretching, we may not have those bad days, but we certainly wouldn't have the good days.
Exactly.
That makes sense, right? So I think it's in a perverse way, it's good that we have bad days. Mm-hmm. And then we the good thing is that we've got that circle of people around us, that close circle that we can rely on to help lift us up. right?
Yeah,
Not do it for us, but lift us up and show us the way.
exactly. And I think that's where that underlines the importance of
Mhm.
why we need those people in our life, why we need to get control of our subconscious mind and our mindset around things, but also then when we do get into those spaces, because we're human beings, so it's going to happen, right? We have feelings and emotions. But to have those people that are around us that, hey, you can say, hey, you know what, I'm having a bad day. I need a word of encouragement here. I need you to tell me it's going to be okay. And, yesterday, and I'm grateful to have you in my life for that, but also yesterday, a good friend of mine, Valerie, who just uplifted me when I was discouraged. And honestly, I was whining a little bit.
Yeah.
But thank you, Val. If you listen to our podcast, thank you for the encouraging words yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we were going to go into subconscious mind tonight, but I just wanted there's one sort of paragraph. It's really one sentence, to be honest, on the conscious mind that's just stood out to me as we're talking. And it's on page 17, like about a third of the way down, and it says the one most important province of your conscious mind is to center your thoughts on the thing you want and to shut the door on every suggestion of fear or worry or disease.
Yes, that's good.
And that to me, again, this book was written nearly 100 years ago, right? But that hasn't changed in 100 years, because what most people do is they will focus on the fear, the worry, the disease, and otherwise what they don't want, right?
Exactly.
Instead of focusing on what they do want.
Yeah. And again, those negative fears and emotions tend to be more powerful at times than our positive fears and emotions, and definitely more contagious, I would say.
Right.
It mentions disease there, so I'll use the word contagious. And if we're not careful, that's where we're going to end up. And actually, it's interesting because later in this chapter, it tells the story about the man who was always in a good mood and always claiming how healthy he was. And his friends just got together, which is kind of mean. Don't do this, folks. And started telling him as they came across him throughout that day, they're saying, man, you don't look good today. Is there something wrong? You look like you're sick. And by the end of the day, he was sick. What he started focusing on manifested into reality.
Right.
So we can manifest the fear, worry, and disease to become a reality in our life and paralyze us.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could focus on the positive, those stretching moments, those lessons learned, and that could and our goals that we are reaching and striving for, and manifest that in our life.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And this again, it all comes back to bars, right? Because what we want to do is we want to really concentrate on the good behaviors and the good actions. What are the things that we need to do every day in a positive way that are going to generate our results and our success level?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're intentional about that, and if we're and therefore we're choosing by design what we do because we know what we want to achieve, we will achieve that. If we live by default and we allow that sort of the negative subconscious to come in about, what can go wrong, what's happened in the past, what other people have told us, then what we're going to do by default is our behaviors and our actions are going to be poor. And therefore, so our results and our level of success is going to be poor. So really, bars is the sort of the, I know we created it, but it really is the most simplest way of saying focus on what you want and what do you need to do every day to get what it is that you want.
Exactly. I got a smile there because I said I just thought you could change it to barf then. Behaviors and actions results in failure, right? If you allow your negative mindset,
Exactly. Yeah. If it's by default, then you're going to barf. If it's by design, then you're going to raise your bars, right? And so,
have to edit that part out, anyways. But this takes back to and folks, if you ever grab a copy of this book, well, then on page 22 it says this all ties in here. Our subconscious minds are vast magnets. With the power to draw from the universal mind or God or the universe, unlimited knowledge, unlimited power, and unlimited riches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the part that people struggle with is that unlimited part. They don't believe that there is that it's possible. It's not possible for me to gain this knowledge or to
Right.
grow in power, or I would use the word influence. I wouldn't use power.
Yeah.
And grow in wealth. And riches doesn't just have to mean monetary. It can mean relationally or job wise, and so on and so forth.
Just
So
emotionally and
emotionally, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and I think that's, again, we have the ability to tap into
Mm-hmm.
infinite, Napoleon Hill called infinite intelligence. I'm a person of faith, I'd call God. We have the power to tap into that.
Yeah.
And the resources are limitless, but
Right.
we are the ones that impose the limits on ourselves.
Correct. Yeah. It's self-imposed. And, again, that saying that everything's impossible until it's done is really a prime example of that. Like with again, we shared the example before in teaching and probably on podcasts, I'm sure, over the last couple of years, but the 4-minute mile,
Mhm.
that used to be seen as impossible. It was seen that the human limit, the limitations of the human body, and it could not break the 4-minute mile. And then when Roger Bannister broke it, all of a sudden in the next year, I think 12 other people broke the 4-minute mile. Why? Right.
Yeah.
Well, why couldn't they do it the year before? But as soon as Roger Bannister did it, they then broke it because they believed that it was possible. Then
Right.
they
Right.
believed that they had the potential to achieve that. Right.
Mhm.
And we do have unlimited potential. We talked last week about how that we use, like the average person uses like less than 10% of their mind's capacity and potential. Right.
Right.
Well, gosh, even if you could double that and get 20%, you've still got 80% to go. You're never gonna max out on that.
Right.
Right. So really it is limitless, because as you increase it, as you increase your awareness, you increase your knowledge, then to be honest, so does the potential increase.
Yeah.
So there's never a lid on it unless we put that lid on it, or we allow somebody else to put that lid on it and say, you're not capable of that.
And that's the key. And I think in a lot of cases, those lids have come from others, right? And I think that if we aren't careful about what we're allowing to become our truth when somebody else speaks to you,
Yeah.
you're allowing that lid. Because again, folks, we've said it before, but if you say I'm stupid over and over again because somebody one day told you were stupid,
Mm-hmm.
then your subconscious mind goes, oh, I must be stupid, because the subconscious mind can't choose for itself. It's only absorbing what you're telling it.
Yeah.
Well, then all of a sudden you become you start manifesting stupidity, right? But we need to flip the script on that and say, you know what? I am smart. I can do this. I have the skill set. I can be taught.
Yeah. And that's the belief in yourself, right? The faith in yourself and the faith in whatever it is that you believe in, but the faith that you can do something. And then it's be the person you want to become. In other words, start acting that way now as if you have it already, and you will believe that you have it. Your subconscious mind will then go, oh, this is who we are. And suddenly you will attain that, right? That's why people do meditations. That's why they do, affirmation statements and so on. If they don't believe it, if they think they're just doing it because somebody said to do that, then guess what? It's not going to come true.
Right.
But if you truly believe it and you program your mind, you get control of your mind, as it says towards the bottom of page 22. To achieve control of your mind is then to attain health, success, and happiness.
That's actually a pretty bold statement.
Mm-hmm.
A pretty bold statement. And I know when we talk about this sort of stuff, a lot of people go, oh, that's hokey, blah, blah, self-talk, blah, 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 I'm fine, right? But I always go back to that old Saturday Night Live skit with Stuart Smalley, and it's like when he'd look in the mirror, it was, daily affirmations with Stuart Smalley. And he'd look in the mirror and go, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me, right? And it sounds kind of like, okay, they're poking fun at it in a way, but the truth is there's a lot of truth in those statements. Because again, if we're going to achieve control of our mind, then look at the benefits of spending the time working on your mindset. Benefits: health, success, and happiness.
Yeah.
Those are 3 amazing perks for gaining control over your mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's true. I mean, there's so much to be said for that if you allow, and the subconscious, you're right, it is things that other people have told us, whether that's parents, whether that's teachers, whether that's peers, brothers, sisters, whoever it is, but they tell us those, or the news. We talk about that constantly negative news, right, that we put in, and therefore we believe it's true, or we've seen something that's happened to us in the past, right? So let's think about, when we were young, we probably all learned to ride a bicycle, right?
I still have the scars to prove it.
Right. And which means that you fell off several times, right?
And that was
Multiple
what,
times.
50 years ago. And I
Right.
still have scars to prove it.
So if you'd fallen off that bike, say 3 or 4 times, and then you said to yourself, I can't do this. It's not going to work. I can't ride this bike. I keep falling over, and you never got on that bike again. Your subconscious mind would believe that you can't ride a bike.
Right.
And it would tell you that you can't ride a bike. But that as kids, we don't allow those thoughts in our mind, right? We're more determined. We don't accept that quote unquote failure quite as readily. So we get up, we try again, and eventually we ride it. But if you don't learn to ride that bike in your sort of 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old self, if you wait until you're 15, 16, 17, I'm pretty confident in saying that most people that try and ride a bike there and keep falling off would never ride that bike again, because other people would be telling, oh, you can't do that. You're not built to ride bikes. Don't do that. Get a car instead, right? Or do something different. And we would believe it.
Just a few lines down there, it says and tying into this, it says the trouble is that often as not, it is our negative thoughts, our fears that penetrate.
Right.
That fear takes over. Then you're right. I'm probably never going to be able to ride this bike. But what's interesting is if you learn to ride a bike when you're 5 or 6, and you don't ride a bike for 5 or 10 years, you know what? You can get on and you can ride a bike.
Yep.
You know how to do it.
Yep.
It's as easy as riding a bike, right? There's even a saying around that, right? So, if we allow those fears to penetrate our subconscious mind, then you know what? Then we get ourselves into trouble. And it goes on to say, and these are realized just as surely as the positive thoughts.
Yeah.
So again, then we have that choice. Are we going to allow ourselves to have our reality determined by the negative thoughts and comments that have been said over us, or that we've allowed to think about ourselves, or we're going to allow our reality to show the positive and live out the positive comments that we are telling ourselves and fixing our mindset? Because again, and he says here, your subconscious mind is exceedingly amenable to suggestion. I can't read the word, but you know what I mean, folks, right? Yeah. Whatever you suggest into it, it will believe. Yeah. And we have to allow it to believe it, or we have to choose to discard it.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And that, again, when we talk about the power of that inner circle, and I think it was Jim Rohn that said that we become the average of the 5 people we associate with the most. It's true, because I've been in through cycles in my life where I've associated not with like bad people, but with people that have got bad habits, right? And that you end up picking up those bad habits, and that's who you become. And then when it started associating with yourself and with Jay and with Giroux and, the Maxwell sort of thought processes, and then we go through DISC and Chris Rollins, Melissa Rollins, etc. Rollins, you start then to think of things differently, right? And you become a different person.
It's unbelievable the change and how fast that change can be when you start hanging around those kind of people. I mean, folks, you can just go back a few episodes back into February's episodes, and we did a 2-parter with Giroux and Jay and Chris, myself, and Chris and I were in Toronto together. And I'll tell you, when we hit stop recording on that, A, we had the conversation continued, but B, I'd say we were fired up for the rest of the day. that filled us up, just being able to
Yeah.
associate with those two friends of ours and listen to their thoughts, their thought leaders themselves, listen to their thoughts on the topics we were talking about. And it was desire at that point in time.
Yeah.
It's a powerful, you have to have good people in your life you're associating with that are going to lift you up. I had an opportunity to have lunch with a business owner friend of mine today. We've been friends for a number of years. I've done work with his team before. He's become a trusted confidant and a trusted advisor. And you know what? And he's tough as nails, right? He'll kick me in the pants when I need to, and he'll encourage when he needs to. And I had lunch with him today, and just hearing some of the successes that he's had over the past year and some of the goals he set for himself this year, I walked away from that lunch feeling excited for him and for my possibilities.
Yeah.
And then what happens? I'm in the right frame of mindset. Guess what happens? I get a call from a client that I hadn't done work with for 3 years, said, "Hey, I want some sales training for my team."
Yeah, exactly.
The mindset ready to receive.
It's the law of attraction.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the law of attraction. I know we just turned 20 minutes, so I want to read this sentence, Al, towards the end of this part on the subconscious mind. It says, "For the power of the subconscious mind is unlimited. Whatever it is necessary for you to do in any right cause, it can give you the strength and the ability to do." Whatever is necessary for you in the right cause. So again, I think that ties back to what you were just talking about with desire, right? And we've talked about purpose, desire. If you know what you want, you know why you want it, you know why it's important to you, what an impact and a difference it's going to make, not only to you, but to others.
Yes.
Your subconscious mind will provide you what it is that you need to be able to achieve that.
Exactly.
Right. So like you said this afternoon, when you were in the right frame of mind, they say when the student is ready, the teacher comes, right? And so you were ready, and suddenly you get a call, right? I know you've had two, a booking and that call about those sales trainings today.
Yeah.
So being in the right frame of mind, being ready to receive whatever it is that you want will come to you.
Absolutely.
Right. If you don't know what you want, then guess what? You're going to receive all sorts of random stuff, and it probably is not what you want.
And you're probably going to end up with what we've talked about lots of times before, drifting through life.
Yep.
And drifting is mediocre. It's average. It's worse than average. Right. And I don't think any of our listeners desire for that. And if you're stuck in that mindset right now, you need to surround yourself with some people that are going to lift you up out of that and push you forward.
Yeah.
But you have to want to make the step and the changes first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the challenge for this week, Chris?
I think that the challenge for this week, Al, is to again, just we've used it before, but really identify what it is that you want. Right. And stop thinking about what you don't want. So stop thinking about, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to work a 9 to 5. I don't want to live in this town, or whatever it is. Right. Yeah. Forget those things. What do you want? Right. And then when you know what you want, again, is as you're asking that question and you're coming up with these things, I would ask yourself again further, is like, why do you want that?
Right.
Right. What difference will that make to your life? How will that enable you to fulfill your purpose? What is your purpose? How are you going to help other people if that's what you want to do? You may not want to help other people, right? And that's okay. We're all different. But why do you want that thing that you say you want? What difference will it make in your life?
That's good. All right. Perfect. Well, everybody, go have an amazing weekend. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Sure.
Thank you for tuning in to the Raise Your Bars podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please consider sharing it with your family, friends, and coworkers. We would sincerely appreciate it.